Possessed by the Devil, the true story of Anneliese Michel. This is not a horror movie. This is a documented case of a young woman who fought for her soul and lost. Anneliese Michel was born in 1952 in Liebelfing, West Germany. Raised in a strict Catholic household, she prayed daily, attended Mass, and dreamed of becoming a teacher. But something changed when she turned 16. She suffered a seizure. Doctors diagnosed her with temporal lobe epilepsy, a condition that causes hallucinations, intense fear, and loss of control. But Anneliese believed it was something else, something evil. Over the next few years, things escalated. What started as subtle whispers in the dead of night soon grew into a cacophony of tormenting voices. The once peaceful nights were now filled with an eerie sense of dread, as if the very air had thickened with malevolence. She began hearing voices. Voices that cursed God. Voices that seemed to come from the very walls of her home. These voices were relentless, echoing in her mind, making it impossible for her to find peace. They would mock her, belittle her faith, and fill her with an overwhelming sense of despair. They told her she was damned, that there was no hope for her soul. The voices would often come at the most unexpected times, catching her off guard and leaving her paralyzed with fear. She would find herself scribbling frantic notes, trying to make sense of the chaos that had become her reality. She saw faces, demonic, grotesque, watching her from the shadows. These faces would appear in the corners of her vision, just out of reach but always present. They would leer at her, their eyes filled with malice, their twisted smiles a constant reminder of her torment. The shadows in her home seemed to come alive, shifting and moving as if they were entities of their own. She said she was possessed by 6 spirits, including Lucifer himself. Her diary became a testament to her suffering, filled with desperate pleas for help and detailed accounts of the horrors she faced. She would write about the spirits, describing their voices, their faces, and the overwhelming sense of evil that surrounded her. The ancient religious texts she turned to for solace only seemed to confirm her worst fears, as they spoke of demonic possession and the eternal struggle between good and evil. Medical treatment failed. Anneliese rejected her medication. She believed it was suppressing the fight her soul needed to win. Her parents turned to the church. In 1975, 2 priests were authorized by the Bishop of Würzburg to begin an exorcism under the 1614 Catholic rite. Over 10 months, they performed 67 exorcisms. Anneliese refused food, bit her own arms, tore her clothes, and barked like a dog. Her behavior was erratic and terrifying, leaving her family and the priests involved deeply disturbed. The sessions were intense, often lasting for hours, with Anneliese exhibiting signs of extreme physical and mental distress. She would scream for hours, pray on broken knees, and her cries echoed through the house, creating an atmosphere of fear and desperation. The physical toll on her body was immense, with her knees becoming severely damaged from the constant kneeling and praying, and speak in deep, unnatural voices. These voices were said to be those of the demons possessing her, each with its own distinct tone and personality. The priests documented these voices, believing they were communicating with the entities within her. She said she was dying to atone for the sins of youth. Anneliese believed that her suffering was a form of penance, a way to cleanse her soul and the souls of others. Her conviction was unwavering, even as her condition worsened. The exorcism sessions became a grim routine, with each one pushing her closer to the edge. The priests and her family watched helplessly as she deteriorated, caught between their faith and the horrifying reality of her condition. The story of Anneliese Michel remains one of the most haunting and controversial cases of exorcism in modern history, raising questions about faith, mental illness, and the limits of human endurance. By June 1976, Anneliese was a shadow of herself. Her once vibrant spirit had been replaced by a frail and weakened body, a stark contrast to the lively young woman she had been just a few years earlier. She weighed just 30 kilograms, barely 66 pounds. The toll of her condition was evident in every aspect of her appearance. Her cheeks were sunken, her eyes hollow, and her skin clung to her bones. She died on July 1st. Her death marked the end of a long and painful journey, one that had been filled with suffering and despair. The community mourned the loss of a young life taken too soon. Cause of death: malnutrition and dehydration. The official reports detailed the severe physical decline she had endured, a tragic result of her prolonged illness, and the extreme measures taken in an attempt to cure her. She left behind journals, recordings. These personal artifacts provided a haunting glimpse into her final days, capturing her thoughts, fears, and the intense spiritual struggle she faced. And one final message: beg for absolution, not from doctors, but from Him. Her last words echoed the deep religious conviction that had shaped her life and ultimately her tragic end. In 1978, Anneliese's parents and the two priests were put on trial for negligent homicide. The court ruled they believed she was possessed, but had failed to seek proper medical care. They were convicted, but received only suspended sentences. To this day, people argue whether Anneliese Michel was mentally ill or spiritually tormented. Her grave is still visited by pilgrims, her tapes circulate online, and her story refuses to die. Some doors, once opened, never truly close.